Well, I'm back. I'm back. Thank you for sticking with me through my little pause there while I recovered from like extreme emotional upheaval and trauma from having someone scream at me in the middle of a room of people in a really embarrassing way because I don't smile enough. Imagine somebody writing a prepared statement about how little you smile. Yeah, so that kind of sent me over the edge. You know that I'm fragile anyway. So thank you for sticking with me on that one. We are on chapter 18. Now here's the thing. I would say like, oh my gosh, let's recap this because so much has happened and we're going to get so confused. No, we're not. We know exactly where we're at. And not just because you can go back and look at the other videos, but nothing has happened in this book so far. They're just at this damn party. Okay, Carolyn has taken her shopping and now they're at a party. So chapter 18 of the Misses, they're at the goddamn party. There is a rare description of Alessia because we have to hear now how she looks so beautiful because, like before it was she looks so beautiful because it's her wedding. Now we get the she looks so beautiful because she's dressed up for this party. I won't read the whole thing, but there's light burnishing her hair. He says she's a screen siren. She's wearing an ankle-length soft silk dress, fitted at the waist and fastened at her neck, exposing shapely shoulders. The skirt sculpts her hips, tapers to her knees, and then falls in swaths of ruby red to her feet. Her dark eyes are framed in kohl, her lips are as scarlet as her dress, and her hair falls in soft, gentle waves around her. She is a goddess, Aphrodite, and she's mine. Okay, settle down. Okay, we always hear about how she looks like a goddess. We always hear like how she's the most beautiful person ever when you care to describe her. But let's like settle down. It's because she's wearing a dress. I always think it's weird. Like, do people in, this is a UK thing. In the UK, is eyeliner just referred to as kohl just across the board? Like, is that what it's called? Is it called kohl? Or is it called eyeliner? Because it would be weird if she was actually like using actual kohl. I don't think anybody actually uses that anymore outside of like traditional stuff, right? Because don't you have to like put it like right in your eyes? I don't know. Of course he tells her she's stunning. She smiles, knowing and shy and sweet at once, and I feel it in my dick. Fuck. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say anymore when we have to hear about his dick and how his dick feels and his dick feelings. She tells him that he looks edible. She didn't know the word for truck. Okay. I keep running into these words that are like, you know, I'm not saying that edible is an uncommon word or it's like a word of, not like a word of the day calendar thing, but it's certainly, I don't know. It's the truck thing. It's the fact that she didn't know the word truck. That's the thing that gets me. The fact that she didn't know the word truck. I'm not saying that if she doesn't know the word truck, that like, oh, she's ignorant and shouldn't know all these words. I'm saying that she knows all these words. She should fucking know truck. But that was from the first book. And we have moved on with our lives. We have moved on. If you thought Christian Grey was needlessly possessive. We went to a salon at the store where a man washed it and another man gave me a blowout. A momentary pang of what I can only assume is jealousy slices through me. Did they now? I pull her into my arms. I'm not sure how I feel about that. And then he goes on to make it clear to her that he doesn't approve. He says, I don't approve. Oh, God. Tenderly, I clasp her face between my palms and press my lips lightly against hers. Then I don't approve. Of my hair? No, the men. But whoever it was, they did a great job. Come, look, let me show you something. What? Is it a cage? What are you going to show her? Is it a cage? Is it a shelf like that weird shit that I keep seeing on TikTok where the lady is sitting on a shelf and I don't know why because nobody ever posts part 2 or part 1. She's just sitting on a shelf. He's mad because a man touched her hair? What is going on? What is happening? Oh my God. So he has velvet boxes that are full of jewelry, diamonds, and he actually calls it Trevithick booty. Which makes me just go, okay, so what country did you steal these from? Like, what? You're the British aristocracy. Where did these come from? And then he puts her earrings on for her. Like, he's trying to help her pick out the earrings, and he finds like some diamond ones, and he puts them on for her. All right, I don't even know about that, because I don't ever want anybody trying to put an earring on me. I'll just put them on myself. Okay. Alessia stares in the gilt mirror on the wall at the unrecognizable woman gazing back at her. She looks and feels ... different, confident, potent. She went and she bought rich people clothes. So now that she has rich people things, she's a completely different person. She feels so much more valuable, so much more powerful, so much more... Come on! Like, I'm sorry, but I wrote a whole series. I wrote 8 books of billionaire stuff, and I still don't feel like I fetishize wealth the way that this does. And I think it's because... I honestly think it's because I don't think that rich people are better, but the author of this book seems to think that rich people are automatically better. Like, I'm sorry, but how can you get that impression? How can you not get that impression, specifically from the Mr. and the Mrs.? How can you not get the impression that the author truly believes that the aristocracy and that the wealthy are an aspirational sort of class that everyone should want to be in? I mean, yeah, we all want somebody to pay our bills, but not if it means some man is going to tell me that I can't get my hair washed because it's by another man. We hear about he's in a black suit. He looks virile, elegant, gorgeous. They go to Carolyn's house, and Alessia is like nervous because she's like, oh yeah, the housekeeper. She's remembering that the housekeeper was shitty to her. I forgot that she has never been to this house, so she's having this reaction to the house, and Maxim saying, I grew up here. He explains that Mrs. Blake, that awful housekeeper, has been with the family for a long time, since his father was the Earl of Trevithick. Okay, here we go. The butler is Mrs. Blake's husband, and he comes to the door and asks to take Alessia's coat. Lady Trevithick, he murmurs as he takes it, his eyes bright with admiration. So the men admire her. He admires her. But the women don't like her at all. They hate her because all the men must be in love with the female lead of an E.L. James book. And all the women must be desperately jealous because that feeds into a reader fantasy that appeals to readers who wish everyone was jealous of them. I don't understand that mindset. She sees a picture of him and Kit in their polo outfits, and then they go to see Caroline in the drawing room. She's impeccably dressed in a floor-length black gown with a plunging neckline, single pearls at her ears, and a long knotted pearl necklace that falls between her breasts. So all I'm imagining is Morticia Addams with pearls on. Carolyn tells Alessia that the dress suits her, and then she asks Maxim if he approves of it. Why don't you ask Maxim if he approves of her going to a salon? Because apparently that's a step too far. Now it's time for us to see a family picture and have Alessia read too much into it. Like way too much into it. And I realize that it's here for a reason, and the family photo, brace yourself, the family photo is going to clear up 100% why Kit had the genetic testing or whatever. It's going to completely clear that up. We're going to read this and we are going to know for sure. But I feel like it's just ridiculously telegraphed. Like, there have been, like, okay, in 50 Shades of Grey, we talked about how, like, the kidnapping thing kind of just, like, sprung up out of nowhere and was, like, random, like, oh, kidnapping. And it was, like, all this stuff that would just happen, and it was, like, never hinted that it was going to happen. It was just suddenly someone's being kidnapped. This is, like, the exact opposite. This is, like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, I'm foreshadowing. Maxim must be 9 or 10, handsome even as a child. Gross. His father's hand cupping his shoulder. Marianne stands between Maxim and his brother, who's taller with a mass of blonde curls, while Rowena stands behind Kit, her arm draped around her eldest son. There's a steely glaze in her eyes, as if she's daring the photographer to reveal the truth. Italics, what truth? It's a picture! She looks at his mom in the picture and she's like, his mom doesn't want to tell the truth. About what? But obviously, because we've read that and because it looks like she's daring the photographer to tell the truth, Kit is not their father's son. He's not. He's just not. It might turn out that Maxim is not their father's son. I wouldn't put it past this book to have that happen, and then we'll all have to sit here and be like, but wait, what about the fact that they were doing like genetic testing on Kit? I wouldn't put it past this book to be like, actually Maxim is not the Earl of Trevithick. But I really and truly and honestly, I read that Kit isn't his dad's son. One of those kids, one of those babies is not their dad's. They have cosmopolitans. They explain to Alessia that they're called Cosmos. They explain to Alessia what's in the drink. Vodka, a dash of Cointreau, lime juice, cranberry, Maxim responds, his voice husky as his eyes meet Alessia's. Oh, for God's sake, get a room, you two, Carolyn says. Okay. His voice is husky as he's talking about lime juice and cranberries. Like, I think he might have a medical problem where he's just too horny all the time. The reason they're drinking cosmopolitans is because they're going to a Russian person's house, and so they thought they would start with the vodka since there would be so much vodka. I'm not gonna lie, there's gonna be vodka at the Russian person's house, but I take this weird offense to that. I just take a weird offense. They go to this Dimitri guy's house, and the description we get is, the house is red brick, squat, and furnished by the interior designer du jour. I've been a couple of times. The decor, the furnishings, and the art are all on point and utterly soulless. I've never felt fully comfortable in his company. Not that I've met him often, but this is the place to be seen, and if I'm going to out Alessia as my wife, there's no better way to go public. We'll be plastered all over the tabloids in the morning. Okay, I'm sorry, I gotta back up here a second, that he's never felt fully comfortable in Dimitri's company. Like, yeah, we can guess. Based on how you felt about going to Albania, we can 100% guess how you feel about Russian people, too. Like, anybody who doesn't speak English seems to be a real issue for Maxim. I'm not saying he's a Tory, but I'm saying he's a Tory. So there's a ton of paparazzi that are waiting at the house to see people arrive, and Maxim's like, don't answer any of their questions, and they walk through the thing, and everybody's like obviously shouting at them and desperately wanting to hear from them. When they walk in, the instant they walk in, they're given shots of vodka. I'm not gonna say that that's inaccurate. I come from a Russian family. That's pretty accurate. I've drank vodka at church before. Oh, here we are. Here we are with more of the xenophobia. I'm not going to try to do the accent, so I'm not going to read what he says. His accent is faint, but it's there. Could he sound any more oily? And he's wearing a white dinner jacket like he's Gatsby or Bogart. Like, literally, because of his accent. I mean, it says his accent is faint, but it's there. Could he sound more oily? Like, so he has a problem. The accent makes the guy sound untrustworthy, apparently. I think that's a you problem, Maxim. I think that's a Maxim problem. Dimitri is introduced to her, and to Alessia, and he kisses her hand and says that she's beautiful. And what Maxim thinks is, get your hands off my wife. I mean, I'm not a big fan of hand kissers, but like, it's not like he just propositioned her. You know what I mean? So he meets, so Caroline is the one that's friends with Dimitri, right? And she comes up to him and she's like, Dimitri, darling. And then she air kisses him and he hugs her and says that he's so sorry for her loss. And then Alessia is like, oh, can you show me around, to like try to get her away from Dimitri? Like, he's so overbearing for hugging her and saying, I'm sorry for your loss, that Maxim's like, are you okay? I ask Caro, whose hand is still clasped in Alessia's. Yes, he is extra. He is. Let's go grab a drink. You are in this man's house. Now, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay to, like, kiss a stranger's hand. That's very outdated or whatever. But, like, Carolyn is his friend, and he hugged her and said, sorry for your loss. And Maxim's like, are you okay? Like, settle down. And if it was meant to be like, are you okay? Because Kit was brought up, that would be one thing. But all Maxim focuses on throughout these entire paragraphs is that Dimitri is putting his hands on these women. So, obviously Maxim still thinks of Caroline as his property, the way he thinks of Alessia, but that's not what's going on in the book, of course. That's just what Jenny's projecting onto the book. Ugh. Maxim, like, finds us. I'm skimming so much of this because it's like, and now we go into this room, and this is how it's decorated. And, oh, hey, there's a vodka luge, and now we're gonna go get some champagne. And now we're, like, it's like the most boring party ever. And then he says that, let's go to this other spot so we can hold court and people watch. Hold court. Hold court. So there are, like, celebrities at this party and politicians, and then there's, like, some Secret Service type situation. Various people accost Maxim to offer their condolences at his brother's passing and to meet Alessia. Accost. You haven't seen this acquaintance. You are at a party. Parties where people talk. You haven't seen this acquaintance in a while, so you say, I'm sorry for your loss. You have accosted them, according to this book. Words mean things. Oh, that was Moon River, wasn't it? She shakes hand after hand, aware that a few beautiful women she meets are eyeing her with ill-concealed envy. She wonders if they know Maxim intimately. Alessia, don't go there. Of course they do, and it's very important that we all hear about how jealous these women are of Alessia. Because what is the point of reading a book with the heroine in it at all if every other woman isn't a terrible bitch who's out to get her? I mean, who doesn't want to fantasize about a life lived where everyone envies them? Jesus. Henrietta wants to take Alessia around the house and show her around the house, and Maxim is like, you know, overprotective. He's like, be careful. I wish I would have started counting the word opulent in this chapter, because everything seems to be like opulent keeps popping up in this chapter. It's opulent but sterile. That's what Alessia feels like. It's sterile. That it's opulent. It's opulent but it's sterile. Those don't go together. Those are opposites. There's a banquet, and Alessia has to be taught what pierogies are. No, someone from Albania, I guarantee someone from Albania knows exactly what a fucking pierogi is. She recognized the caviar, though. She knew what the caviar was. She knew the caviar, but not the piroshki. They run into one of Maxim's exes who, like, comes up to them and is, like, snotty to Alessia and is like, oh, you're the one who snared him, and, you know, oh, you're a pretty little thing, and just all this basically, like I said, this whole chapter, this whole point of going to this party is going to be so that she, that Alessia gets treated like dirt. Opulent again! It says, it's another opulent room. Yeah, no shit, because there have been like 19 of them so far. Opulent is the word of the day. Obviously, everybody's looking at Alessia. I've skimmed so much of this because there's literally nothing happening. It's just, oh, they went and they got their food. Oh, they went and they ate their food and talked about Henrietta's day. And, oh, this ex-girlfriend. And, oh, but like nothing is happening in a way that is moving the story forward, right? It's just encounters with these various people and then like a summary of what happens, but nothing that you would ever even consider as being like anything that would move the plot forward. And we don't get any of Alessia's real emotions or anything. We just get, she did this, they did this, they did this, they did this. They went into this room. It looked like this. They went into this room. This happened. They went into this room. There was food. This room was opulent. This room was opulent. This is unbearably boring right now. Like seriously, this book, this might be one of the most boring things that I have ever read. So another predatory Russian shows up. She sees that there's a piano. She stops, she looks at the piano, and a predatory Russian approaches. He smirks at her attempt to intimidate him and holds out his hand. Grisha Eganov, and you are? Alessia shakes his hand, alarm bells ringing in her head. His grip is too tight, his smile too warm. She withdraws her hand and resists the urge to wipe it against her dress. So he introduces himself as Dmitri's half-brother, and she's grossed out by him. I assume because he's Russian, and because that's the kind of book this is. Alessia is wearing rich people clothes now, rich English people clothes. Alessia is a Tory now, and she wants to know what all of these goddamn immigrants are doing in her country. Not for real. That's not what's actually in the, I mean, it is in the book. It doesn't say that in the book. That is just the conclusion I am drawing from the words that are on the page. Obviously, Alessia is gonna have to play the piano. I know. I know! No, you can't come in the room. No, you don't belong in my office. No, even if you do that, you don't belong in my office. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're never gonna tunnel through the glass. I'll be out in a little bit. Okay, so she starts playing Bach's Prelude 2 in C minor. Her angry music, because she's angry about this guy. The thing that's wrong with this guy, with this half-brother of Dmitri, is because he does look her up and down, you know? But she thinks he's arrogant. She finds him arrogant. So she plays her music, and then we go into Maxim's POV. So Maxim is panicking because Alessia has left his sight. He can't see Alessia, so and the word used is panic, ignoring the rising panic in my chest. He is panicking. He's panicking. Because they're at a party and she went to a different room. He hears the music, he goes in, he sees her playing the piano. Okay, now something finally happens. Maxim goes into the room where the piano playing is happening. One of his ex-girlfriends, not the first one, not Arabella. Arabella was the one that came up to Henrietta and Alessia. This one is Charlotte, and Charlotte is super drunk and super high and asks if he wants to go somewhere with her because she's missed him. And then Alessia, he's like, does she not know that I'm like got married, you know, like, which honestly, yeah, how does she not know? Because apparently this has been the talk of the town, but this bitch doesn't know. So it says that Alessia finishes the thing and Charlotte grabs him and kisses him. And then there's a flash of light. So somebody's taken a picture of Charlotte kissing him. I twist my head and grab her hands, pushing her gently back, escaping from her clutches. Charlotte, what the hell are you doing? And then it goes into Alessia's POV. She hears applause for her playing, and then Grisha says, I was doubtful, but that was impressive. Thank you, Alessia says, and grins at a smiling Henry before glancing down at the audience in the living room, her eyes straying to her husband. He's kissing another woman, and Alessia's world crashes to a halt. What? And that's in italics. That's the end of that chapter. That entire chapter was going to the party, first going to Carolyn's house and picking her up, going to the party, this was the kind of food there was, this is what it looks like in there, here are some Russians who are just disgusting, which I, honest to God, take super offense to. I don't know. I take super offense to the whole idea of these predatory Russians, that they're like so... Why do they have to be Russian? Like when she, there are no men in England who could be that gross, that we could have like gross Englishmen, but it's like we've already done Albania and now Russia has to suck too. Like, what the... I mean, I know Russia's not a popular country, okay? I get it. But not every single person from Russia is like one from the movies. I don't know. It's just bugging me. It's bugging the shit out of me. And I think that the reason it bugs me so much is just because of the attitude that we've already seen towards Albanians. Like, the attitude towards Albanians has already been like, they are provincial and they are all crime lords. But with this, I'm like, now Russia's involved. And this guy's rich, but it's like in a way that's like not tasteful. It's not like old money rich enough for Maxim, I guess. I don't know. This chapter was so boring. I'm so sorry that I came back on this chapter because it was so boring. But the book is boring, right? And we're at 58%. The next book that we read, it cannot be this boring. We have to figure something out. We have to figure out what the next book is going to be so that when we finish with this one, we can rock into another one and it's not going to be boring, because Crave was boring. I don't know if over on the blog I can even finish the Crave recaps because they are so boring. But we have to figure something out. There have to be bad books that aren't this boring, right? There have to be. Do you want to see my cat? It might make up for how bad this chapter was. Do you want to see my cat? Do you want to see my cat? That's my cat. You gotta show yourself. Show your face. I promised a cat. I promised. Thank you. Look at the camera. Look at right there. See? There, look at how beautiful. Isn't he handsome? Isn't he beautiful and handsome? Wasn't it worth reading that boring chapter because you get to see this beautiful, gorgeous, handsome boy? Isn't he handsome? Sneezed in my face. There. Okay, now what do we say? What do we say? We say, like, comment, and subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends that we're reading a boring book. Hey, why are you all wet? Like, comment, subscribe. Why is this cat all wet? And why is it biting me? Like, comment, subscribe. Why is my cat all wet? Stop licking my face. And I'll catch you on the flip side.